saved by God's grace. A joint heir with Jesus, made one of his fold. I'm saved and secure, I'm hid in the wrong. I'm saved and secure, I'm hid in the wrong.
Amen. Hid in the rock. Feel right safe, don't you? Amen. Amen. We've decided to just call preachers from the floor, and they don't know that ever who does the preaching tonight didn't know that there was going to be a preacher. They know that it could be them.
Yeah.
And I've had meetings like this before when you get enough preachers to come together to do that, and that way they're ready at any time. And the old Apostle Paul said, "I'm now ready to preach the gospel." And you ought to be ready all the time. Somebody said, "If you got a message, I'll keep one." You got to keep one. You don't never know when you'll be called on. And we're going to let Brother Tom Franklin come tonight and bring the message.
Well, I definitely wasn't expecting that. I was kind of hoping I'd get to wait another day or two. Be much in prayer. I didn't.
You'll fight harder when you're a little nervous. That means we'll pray for you.
Be much in prayer. It's
If you're called of God, give him a little time to get his thoughts together.
Thank you.
If you're called of God, you don't. I heard a little preacher say one time, he said, "I appreciate your prayers, but I don't need your prayers to preach." Know it? Yeah. He said it makes it a lot easier. But he said, when I preach, I rely on my call. That's it. Because he said, I have preached when I know the people wasn't praying for me. Yeah. So we rely on our call to preach. But it makes it a whole lot easier if you'll get right in here and eat. That's right. Amen.
Amen.
So they're going to pray for you, Tom.
Thank you.
I believe God's able. God's able to bless. Bless our
Amen. Thank you. I've been excited. I've been stirred up. This is the first time I've stood in a really long time. So I'm nervous. I've been fighting the battle for a long time, but the Lord, I prayed about it. Got down here one night and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and shared a little something with you here a while back. But I got down and I got a hold of something. When you get a hold of God in the Spirit, boy, you know it. You know, there's been times I've prayed and I didn't feel like they got no further than the ceiling. But there's been times I've prayed and I've got a hold of something, and I got a hold of something. I remember the first night I ever preached, standing right here. Long Keith was the second one. The second time I ever stood was right here. And Brother Keith, he said, "I'm going to give you an appointment." I said, "Well, let's pray about it." He said, "No, we're not going. I'm going to give you an appointment." So, and I'll never forget that. And when I come to pray, the Lord told me to do something, and as what's come to my mind, that Keith was talking about obedience is better than sacrifice, and I didn't understand it at the time, but it all come together. But the Lord said, "Go give everybody a handkerchief." And I didn't understand that. I thought, Lord, they'll think I'm crazy. Why? I don't understand why I can't. But I said, well, I'm going to be obedient. to the Lord. And so I went and done it. I bought those big napkins is what it was. And I stuck them under the pew right there. And I said, Lord, I'm still not sure of this. Are you sure this is what you want me to do? And I was sitting there and I prayed. I got down and I prayed about it then. I said, Lord, just give me, if that's what you want me to do, I'll do it. I don't care. I'll do it. But I want to be sure it's you, not me. And I opened my eyes. I looked down and I can't remember who he was, but he sat right there all the time. And I looked over and he was doing this right here. And I said, all right, Lord, that's all I needed. Well, I handed them out, and I thought, Lord, he'll never let me back in here. He'll think I've done lost my mind and trying to make a show of things. But I assure you that wasn't what I was trying to do. And I passed one to everybody. And I said, if you not nothing in me, or I say or nothing, but I said, do you do it for the Lord? If you, and you know, just wave it. And then I got down that night and I prayed that, and this, Lord, if that's what you want me to do, then I'll do it.
Bless his heart.
And Keith got up there and he says, anybody got a handkerchief? And he started waving it like that right there. And he got done preaching after I prayed that morning. I said, all right, Lord, I'll do it. And so here I am. And he gave me something the other day. I wanted to read and study this a little bit more, but God wouldn't have put it on him to call me if I wasn't ready. But I've been excited. I got a thought about Amazing Grace. And I think I was driving down the road and I've been and prayed. I said, Lord, if they want me to preach, that's fine, but give me something to preach. And everywhere I went, I heard this song, Amazing Grace. I was going down, driving to work one day, and I heard Amazing Grace come on the radio. And I was listening to my phone, this group down in Rogersville that I listen to a lot, and I was listening to them, and they were singing Amazing Grace. And I got in the break room at work. They got a TV in there at dinner time, and they watch them soap operas, and the soap opera come on, and they was singing Amazing Grace on the soap operas in the break room. I just kept hearing Amazing Grace. Boy, I got to thinking about how God's amazing grace and how he's so graceful to an old sinner like me, and how he's so merciful, and of a sinner like me, how he can love just some worthless old me. But boy, he did, and Lord. And I'm thankful for that. And I remember back when I was lost. That's one song I couldn't hear. I couldn't listen to it. Boy, I'd come under conviction so bad it'd get all over me. I'd turn it off. I'd plug my ears. I'd do whatever. I don't know why. I never could understand it, but I could not listen to that song all the way through, boy, because that conviction come on me so strong. And I was trying to be a big tough guy like I was talking about this morning, and you know, and I couldn't stand nobody see me crying. I'd hear that song and I'd come over, boy, it's my favorite song to have. I'd love to hear it. After I got saved, when the Lord come down. But I'm going to be reading out of Genesis in chapter 6. And I may have to tag somebody because I wanted to read this out a little bit more, but we may read some over in Romans 2, but I want to read this right here, and I'm just feel like that's the word of the Lord. Just give it to me that one day. But chapter 6, and I'll give everybody a few minutes to get there, and I might preach 5 minutes and tag somebody else, but I got to thinking about that, boy, that amazing grace that once I was lost, but now I'm found. And I'm glad that I can say that tonight, and I'm glad that I can be able to stand up here. I got in the battle because that devil, he'll tell you that you're not worthy. Because it was a time, even after I got saved, you know, I made some mistakes, and the devil said, you're not even worthy to darken the doors of the church. I even had somebody write me a letter and tell me that. And he knows you ain't worthy to be in there. If I was you, I wouldn't even go to church. And this is from another Christian, supposedly. But, I got to dwelling on that, and it beat me down, and I was at work one night. And I just got to pray. I was just real down in spirit, and I was in a bad, I just wanted to give up. I didn't want to go on anymore because When you get either you're in or you're out, there ain't no in between, boy. And I tell you, if you ain't in, it's a bad place to be. And it's torment, and it's awful. You're miserable because you know where you want to be, you know where you're at, and you know how to get there. But it's just like everything's coming against you, and the whole world's coming against you. But I'm thankful for God's amazing grace that even He said through Jesus Christ, even though we have sinned, we have an advocate with the Father. Glory! I'm glad of that tonight, and I'm glad of His amazing grace. But I want to start reading here in chapter 6, and he says, "And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters and the men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And God saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And he said, Lord, I will destroy. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them." And I wanted to stop and talk about that for a minute before I go on. But that's, you stop and think about the shape we're in today. Everywhere you look around, it's everywhere today. And the wickedness that's going on, and people's just pulled away from God, and you can't hardly get them in the church. They don't want to talk about it, but they'll follow every other thing in the world that they see. They'll follow every kind of wickedness that's going out there. I didn't believe it, but there's this witchcraft thing going to sorcery, and the Bible plainly tells about that. It's more around here everywhere than it's going around, and they're following after homosexuality and wickedness and adultery and fornication and everything. I got to thinking, about like back when it was Sodom and Gomorrah, about how it was in them days, and he sent down fire and brimstone, and he's going to come send it. He said, in here he's not going to flood the earth again. And that's what our rainbow stands for. It ain't for that other old garbage they try to make it out for today. It's for he give a covenant to Noah here. But they're coming along and all this kind of stuff. And maybe you're sitting in here today and you're in a bad shape, and you might be backslid on the Lord just a little bit. Or you might be in a bad place. But I'm telling you, there's grace today. This amazing grace. As I was reading down here, in verse 8, he says, "But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord." I'm thankful for that today. Amen. You might be, the storms might be raging all around you, and you might be fell back a little bit. Don't you believe that old devil's a liar? He might tell you that there ain't no hope for you, that you might as well just lay down and give up. Don't you listen to him. There was all kinds of evil and everything. God said, it repented me that I made man on this earth. He said, I'm going to take them, wipe them all out. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. I'm thankful for that tonight, that he found that grace, because if it wasn't for Noah, just stop and think about that for a minute. It was just him and his family got on the boat. If he hadn't found grace hadn't found grace in the eyes of the Lord, wouldn't none of us be here. He could have wiped the whole thing out and never started again. But Noah found that grace in the eyes of the Lord. I'm thankful for that today. I remember back in that old night, oh glory, when I was standing at the gates of hell, fixing to walk in. But the Lord, I cried out to God, because I believed the first time I was sitting there. Many of you have heard it many times before, for an old big pistol right to my head, just about to give up, because all manner of was coming against me. But I found grace in the eyes of the Lord. I thank God for that tonight. You might be in here tonight, or you might think that everything's coming against you. You might be just want to give up. I don't know where you're at. Hey, I'm telling you, you can go sit in the church every Sunday and then be just about ready to give up. But there's an altar here that you can find grace at. You can find mercy at. They've sung about it all night tonight and today. And I'm thankful for all of that tonight. But I will, and he told, but let me go on for just a minute. This should just be short because I can't remember much, but Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. But let me tell you something. Noah had to be obedient to what God told him to do. You know, God gave him a work to do. He gave me a work to do. He's given all of us a work to do. These lost people dying and going to hell every day out there. Listen to me, church. I'm as guilty as anybody. I get busy going around and with my work and my kids and job and doing this and that. But there's lost people out there. We need to get up and be about God's business. We need to be obedient to God's word. He's got a work for us to do. And if we do it, we can be found grace in the eyes of the Lord. God told him to go and build a boat. It hadn't ever rained. Just think about that for a minute. And that just kind of got me to thinking of when he told me to bring those napkins. Noah, you know, he didn't know about no rain or no flood, but God told him to build a boat to get ready. I'm going to send some water. And thank God Noah was obedient to what God told him to do. Amen. And he listened to him and he told him, and he said to go build an ark. And it goes down and he told him how he wanted it built and what he wanted put on it and all of that stuff. And boy, I'm thankful for that today because I like to eat. Because I like to eat, and he told him to take everything 2 by 2 of the fowls of the air, the animals and the beasts and the creeping things, and put them on the ark. But he put them on the ark, and I couldn't, boy, when they got on the boat and they shut it up, and God sent the rains. I can just imagine all the people beating on that boat. Noah preached to them, and they didn't want to hear it. Said, "Well, you're crazy. It ain't going to do no such a thing. I don't believe none of that. Well, you've lost your mind. We're just going to go out and continue in our sin and what we're doing." These people say that every day. Well, ain't nothing to that. Ain't nothing to that. Them old church people, they're churchy, they're this, they're that. I don't want none of that. I'll be just fine. And they're, whoa. But I'll tell you what, when God sent that rain, and it started a flooding, and they got to filling it up, and they shut the doors, and they sealed it. And I believe when that boat started picking up off the ground, hey, I bet they was climbing on top of each other. Let me in! Let me in! Let me in! Hey, you can get in a boat here today. The door's not sealed up yet. The door ain't shut up yet. Right here's the door. Hey, if you want to get on that boat, just come on down and get in while the getting's good. Hey, before the door's sealed up. But I'm thankful today that Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. You can find grace in the eyes of the Lord today. Hey, we come to have revival. Let's get revived. Hey, I'm thankful. All you got to do is be obedient. Hey, this Lord tells you to go hug somebody's neck, go hug it. Don't question it. Do what God's told you to do. There's been a time somebody come up and hugged my neck. And I'll tell you, it meant more to me than anything. I needed that more than I needed anything today because I prayed and I cried out to God. I've been lonely like I felt. I just tell you, God already knows that there's been a time where I felt Jesus didn't even love me. But I kept coming because I knew one night I felt something. I knew that one night he come down and he put his arm around me. I know he was real. But you know why? I didn't feel it because I walked away from him. I got away from him. You might have got away from it. You might be sitting here tonight and you might have got away from it just a little bit. Hey, I'm telling you, the door's open. You can come and get you some tonight. Hey, man, I'm glad that Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. I'm glad tonight that I found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Hey, you might be a little backslid tonight. You might be not where you need to be. But you can find grace in the eyes of the Lord. Tonight, just come on down and get you some of the doors. Hey, if you get feeling of it right now, you just come on. Don't worry about me. I just keep on preaching. You don't, well, you ain't going to hurt my feelings. This altar is always open. You just come and get your son. Just come and get in the door while it's open. Hey, man, God done stirred us up. I didn't know I was going to be preaching tonight. I had to teach Sunday school this morning, praise God. Woo, glory, I'm just excited to be here. I'm glad I got on the boat one day.
Bless you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord.
40 days and 40 nights it rained.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what was going through his mind. There's been a lot of times I've went through some storms. I think everybody in here could say they've been through a storm.
Yes, sir.
We've all been through them.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you something. If you're sitting in here tonight, God's brought you 100% of every storm you've ever been through. And He'll bring you through every storm that you're ever going to go through. But you got to be obedient. If He tells you to build a boat, you better build a boat. If He tells you to put something on the boat, you better put something on it. When He tells you to shut that door up, you shut the door up. Obedience is better than sacrifice. We got to be obedient to the Lord. For 40 days and 40 nights,
God bless him, Jesus.
it rained and stormed. I can't imagine the waves and the wind. It covered everything. And I don't care how big that boat was. I don't know if you've ever been out on a boat, but when them waves gets high, the floor just come right out from under you. It's a feeling like no other.
Help him, Lord.
For 40 days and 40 nights, they was doing this right here. But they had to feed and water all them animals for 40 days and 40 nights. And I guarantee you Noah was scared to death, not knowing the future. He just did what God told him to.
That's right, brother.
He just trusted in the Lord. And sometimes that's a scary thing. To just trust in the Lord and what the Lord tells you to do. Just like I sat there that one night, I was scared to death. I hadn't ever just started preaching a second, and I don't know, I still don't know nothing about preaching. I never was a good preacher, but I can tell you what the Lord's done for me. I can read the scripture, they'll speak for themselves, amen. Because God don't need me up here, that's for dang sure. He'll find somebody. If I lay down and don't do it, he'll get somebody that will. But the Lord's called me to do something, and even after I started, I run away from it because of my circumstances. But when God told me to get up and preach, I said, okay, Lord, that's what I'm going to do. And boy, it just kept coming to me. I said, Lord, you'll have to send me a message because I ain't got it. I can't do it on my own. You'll have to send it to me. And I tell you, when He sends you a song over that you never hear or nothing, when He sends you a song over and over and over and over and over and over and over, I said, okay, Lord, because I'm dumb and hard-headed and just ignorant like that. So I said, oh, okay, God, I got it this time. But I think, but I don't mean get off on me. I just get excited sometimes. But for 40 days and 40 nights, they was shut up in that boat. Him and his family, and I can imagine his family, they probably thought he was crazy too.
Bless him, Lord.
But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord, and but even through all that storms, as long as the storm went and raged on, that's what, a month and a half. That's a long time to be in a storm. We was down in Paint Creek yesterday. I took the girls fishing. You get down in there, you can't see nothing. These mountains as high as you can see on both sides. It's way down in there. And I could see just a little bit of the sky, and it's starting to get dark. And I told them, we're going to have to go. I said, I believe it's fixing to start raining. I said, let's hit this one more spot. And we run down there and walk through the path, and we hit that one more spot. And we hadn't got there just in a minute, and you could hear it. I mean, you could hear it coming up that holler. Whoa, just a coming. I said, we got to go now. I said, it's a coming. and it come up through there. It was twisting pine trees that big around, just popping. And I was looking. I turned around. I thought that one was coming down on us. This and all this whipping and the roaring, and it scared me to death. And I jumped in the truck and we got out of there and we had to move a tree. But anyway, but I got to thinking about that too. And God's just put all this together. But and all these floods that we've seen, you can see how fast it'll flood and how bad it'll storm and the tornadoes come. And I went down to Alabama after they had that big tornado and drove down through there. And it looked like you just took a God-sized weed eater and went right through the trees, through them pine trees. I mean, they was every one cut off perfect, one about halfway down, half a mile wide. This as far as you can see. And boy, I'll tell you, when you get in that storm, it could be a bad thing. And I just got to thinking, you know, they're in there and they're in the boat and all them people sitting there, you know, and they're trying to get on the boat but it's done too late. God done told him to seal it up. He preached to him. He warned him. He told him to get ready. I'm going to send some water. He sent him a preacher to preach to him, and they wouldn't listen to him. Oh, we got this. We don't know. We ain't going to listen to you. You're crazy. You ain't got no sense. It ain't never rained. It's dry as the desert out here. It ain't going to do nothing. And the preacher's trying to preach to you tonight to come and get you some of this salvation, to come and get on board, to come and get on the ship. God's given us a covenant with a bow and a cloud and a rainbow, and that he's never going to flood the earth again. He said, next time I'll send fire. And I'll tell you what, there ain't going to be no boat that time. It's going to be bad. But you can get in. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. And you can come and find grace in the eyes of the Lord today. Now let me tell you, just come and get in while you still can. And the Lord told him, he said, I'll remember my covenant over in chapter 9, verse 15. He said, I'll remember my covenant which is between me and you and every creature of all flesh. And the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud. And I'll look upon it, that I may remember everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, that is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem and Ham and Japheth, and Ham and his father of Canaan. These are the three sons of Noah that went with in the whole was the whole earth overspread. And Noah began to be a husbandman and planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine and was, well, I don't want to get into all that. That's a whole nother message, but after all that storm, Noah was obedient to the Lord, and he done what God told him to do, and God found grace. Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord, and God spared him and his family. And we might have to go through some storms of life, and some of them might be longer than others. Some might be a day, some might be 2, some might be 40 days and 40 nights. But you never know what you're going to have to face. But after the storm came, and they was on the ship, and Noah was obedient to God, and he done everything that he done, and he found grace in the eyes of the Lord. After all the storm, the sun come out, and the waters went down, and so then it was all over, and the sun come out. The sun, the S-O-N, is going to shine no matter what storm you're going through today. No matter what you might be going through, the sun's going to shine. It's going to come back out. If you put God, if you'll get on the boat, just get on board, just come, and you can weather the storms no matter what it might be, no matter what might come your way, no matter what you might be facing today. Just be obedient to God. Just come get on the boat. And get on the ark and find grace in the eyes of the Lord, and you'll be able to get through anything that you're facing. No matter what you're facing, you can get through it with God today if you'll just call on Him. But I want to talk about a little bit more in grace over here in Romans in chapter 5. I want to talk just that word grace, just amazing grace. Boy, it's been all over me. It's been everything I've read, everything at work, everything that I can imagine. It's just been grace, and I thank God for that amazing grace. Because if it wasn't for grace, I couldn't stand up here. Half of us couldn't sit in here. I don't know if any of us could. But I thank God for that amazing grace tonight. Therefore, being justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ, by whom also we have access by faith into this grace, wherein we stand and rejoice in hope of the glory of God. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulations worketh patience. See, we're going to have to go through some things, and we're going to have to help our brothers and sisters out. I'm going to have to go through something to help my brother out, because you might be going through it next week. And that's what we're to do, to help one another.